Hello, and welcome to Every Day is Funny, the meditative morning show about newspaper comics. And we have a very special ep. It is the 50th episode of Every Day is Funny, and what better way to celebrate than with a very special guest as well, and another video recorded ep that you can check out on the Every Day is Funny YouTube page. But our special guest today, Nick Mastrangelo, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Adam. I've been enjoying this show almost every day, and when it's not every day, I catch up and listen to multiple episodes in one session.
Thank you very much for saying that. I felt it was also important to have you on the show because this Saturday, June 22nd, you are hosting a live stream concert at gruesomefeatures.com, which I will be...
even more exciting for the fans is you're hosting the show.
I'm gonna host the show, and there is still questions about whether I'll be doing bits or whether I'll play it pretty straight. But I would say expect a bit or two, and you should certainly tune in if you're able to this Saturday at 7 p.m. So please check that out.
And it's on gruesomefeatures.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is there anything you'd like to tell the people about?
Well, if you have Twitch, like right on a smart TV or something, it might be nice to search Gruesome Features via that Twitch app. That could be easier, or just gruesomefeatures.com and plug your computer into your TV and blast it out of your hi-fi system is what I would suggest.
Should they?
Because it's going to be comedy, but it's also going to be rock and roll music. Rock and roll, Adam.
No, rock and roll is cool. If the viewers don't have a hi-fi system, should they bother tuning in?
They should go out and spend $10,000 immediately on a hi-fi system, because we're going to be pumping this thing through microphones.
Pumping it full of musical blasts?
Full of musical juices and oils.
What liquid do you most associate with music?
My knee-jerk was coffee. Just have a pot of coffee ready for studio recording. A lot of late nights breaking down the stage and having to get to your next location. Right?
I agree. And I did actually want to start. I do want to ask you about your relationship to newspaper comics. But I wanted to start with also a music-related question, which is, yesterday I was taking the train, and somebody's phone rang on the train, and the ringtone was "You Shook Me All Night Long" by AC/DC. And what I wanted to ask was, is that cool?
I think that's awesome. Was it a good recording of "You Shook Me"?
Was it a cool guy?
Was it a good recording?
It felt like maybe he paid for it.
Did it sound like hi-fi coming out of his cell phone?
Oh, no, I don't think he could watch Gruesome Features on Saturday. But it was like...
No.
I don't think it was like a screen recording. I think he either downloaded it or paid for it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
so is that cool?
I could see it going a few different ways. It might be cool, it might be weird. Depends upon the cell phone it's associated with.
I feel like if you're gonna have that ringtone, you do need to acknowledge it out loud every time your phone rings. I don't think you can remain quiet. Yeah, and say something too. This is
make
me.
Make a little comment.
Yeah. I bet you're wondering who's rocking this one. That's me. Enjoy it.
Or just AC/DC. You're hearing this, right? Hey, Mom.
Oh, he said, well, first he tells everybody what band it is?
Yeah. His comment might just be, saying the title of the song. Like, you guys know this one. It's You Shook Me All Night Long.
And they say, Mom. So I did want to ask what meditation is to you, and as well, follow-up question.
Yeah.
What is your relationship to newspaper comics? But one at a time.
Yeah. I do transcendental meditation. I was doing it before meeting for this show. I do think it's an important thing for people to be engaging with meditation. Take a minute. We as humans are very conditioned in a capitalistic society to just green light go, continue doing things. Do you ever sit down, close your eyes, and do nothing for 20 minutes straight?
Is this what people should expect on the live stream?
It's gonna be mostly transcendental medication propaganda.
Medication?
Yes.
Not meditation?
Oh, did I say medication?
Yeah, are you
Might have
gonna
been
be...
a Freudian slip.
But so you
So
are
I
practicing,
find-
you know. Yeah.
I am. I'm a TM guy, you know, as some famous people are, and I started doing it because I developed tinnitus, and it was kind of a coping mechanism for me for a while, but it has since just become a really creatively and all-around lifestyle improving, evolving, conditioning thing for me. So I take meditation relatively seriously. It's not like I go around and I'm doing propaganda work for TM. I'm not one of those folk. But that's part of the reason I really enjoy the show. I do find it meditative, yes.
Oh, thanks.
It's nicely digestible.
And now going to the comic side of things, where do you think newspaper comics fit into the role of meditation? Did you enjoy them as a child, and do you find reading them now meditative in any sort of way?
So my experience with newspaper comics is I listen to these audio uploads of a guy reading newspaper comics aloud and making comments upon them, and I don't have
Sounds
much
like a good premise
experience.
to me.
It's a good premise. It's this podcast called Every Day is Funny, to plug it on the podcast. And
That's a meta
it's
plug.
really good. It's a meta plug. I very much so enjoy that show, but I'm usually imagining what the man in the audio file is describing. I'm never actually looking at it.
Oh, you never read along.
No, and your previous video episode is actually the first time I saw imagery of the comics you were talking about. Otherwise, it was always visual imaginations while just listening to you describe and comment upon the comics. Part of the reason it hasn't...
Oh, go ahead.
I was, gonna put a pin in that in saying growing up, I think I didn't really have an understanding of comics. Like, I would look at the strips and have these very puzzled like, I never got the jokes. And I think on this show you have a lot of incredulous reactions that are evocative of that experience. Growing up, it was like, that didn't land with me because I literally can't target where the joke is in this strip.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating idea to me compared to like stand-up, where, who knows, maybe they're testing it out on somebody, but the fact that they do it every day leads me to believe like they kind of just think of it and are pretty satisfied with whatever they're going to come up with first thought, or kind of like immediate thoughts. So yeah, they don't really have to like see the reaction in real time. So I feel like that sometimes leads itself to just total confusion from the viewer, because like you're not testing this material out, and a joke in your head, who is not really coming from a comedian's perspective, but from an illustrator or a cartoonist, there's these weird moments where it's like, I don't even think I understand what the attempt is. And I love it, and this is the show kind of celebrating those moments, but they are strange moments.
They're strange, and you think it's partly due to the isolation and frequency in which this material has to be produced.
Yeah, well, I read a statistic that 90% of cartoon comic authors are in prison solitary confinement.
I've heard that too. I was going through an airport once with Bazooka chewing gum, and
Cool.
this was in Florida. And
Oh.
in the New York, New Jersey area, we're very used to security people being annoyed in airports. Down in Florida, the security guard actually asked to read the Bazooka bubblegum comic strip, Bazooka Joe, that it came with. And so
Whoa.
he let me through security, read the strip, gave me a little laugh, and handed the strip back to me. So that's a guy who loves he loves this show and newspaper comics. But I don't think I understood
That's
the strip
such a-
that he laughed at.
Yeah, but that's such a great example of newspaper comics as a uniter of people.
Yeah.
You didn't even understand. You didn't understand the comic, but y'all shared a moment that was quite beautiful with someone whose profession, I feel like, lends itself to, like, you don't create the strongest bond with an airline employee.
Totally. Yeah, the profession is just get them through the system. In this case, the comic came between us, and we were in unison for that moment. It was a beautiful thing. And then I flew back to Jersey.
Well, why don't we get into these comics? As you said, you've never had the visual reaction to go along with it, so this will be a fun jumping off
Yeah.
point. Let's see. Would you like to start with Dennis the Menace?
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
Wouldn't that be great? All right,
That'd be so great,
let's
buddy.
check it. Oh my gosh. All right. Sorry, I had a moment of what do they call that when you're just seeing 1,000 versions of yourself in a internet window?
I believe that's a meta plug.
Yeah, I just got meta plugged. All right, but
He plugs the both of us.
we have Dennis the Menace here hanging with a friend, and they're watching their moms drinking tea on the couch. Dennis says, and let's try and get there we go. Dennis says, "That lady talks up a storm. No wonder they call her Windy." What do you think about that?
So the joke there is, it's windy in a storm. Okay, and her name, you plugged us. And
Sorry.
her name is Windy in reality.
I'm guessing my guess on the joke is her name is Wendy. He didn't know, he misheard that, and now he's thinking,
Okay.
like, that makes sense.
See, this is what I mean. Like, you're on a different level of perception.
Yeah.
If you got that far, like, I did not put that together that a child's mistake might be part of the joke.
And and this seems to be a trend in newspaper comics that I find fascinating. Like, a child, as I've mentioned before, a child's intelligence level in these comics is at this weird level where, like, they're understanding certain things at such a high level and able to, like, carry that into, like, jokes and bits, but then there's these simple things they don't understand. Like, he really thought this woman's name was Windy.
Yeah, like Parker
Unless-
of Rex Morgan is referencing like screwball comedy of the 30s or
Yeah.
something.
There is an
high school
alternate
kid.
idea. An alternate possibility here is that Dennis knows exactly what he's doing and misleading this other child because he is a menace.
That is true, and the face he's making in this comic, it looks like he's being a bit diabolical.
Yes. Also, I don't know who this kid is, but I figured he was the son of Wendy.
Okay, the
Like,
child that he's speaking to. That looks like Charlie Brown's cousin or something.
Yeah, but it looks like typically, this is going to sound stupid and maybe not make sense. What are the odds that your mom is having a friend over at the same time you as a child are having a different friend unrelated to that mom's? Do you know what I mean? Like two separate parties in the household? You would think...
Oh my gosh. I believe this does happen from time to time with children and parents, but then you do get wondering, like, is there some jealousy between parties? Like, well, why isn't my friend's mother hanging out with my mother? Does that mean she doesn't like my mother and prefers other friends? Yeah, there is a meta discourse here you eliminate.
If the friend's mom comes by to pick him up, then she'll see that the mom has this other friend there, and she'll be like, my kid was here. You didn't think, like, hey, come inside and have tea while my kid's here? You didn't
She's
think
gonna
I'm offering
have
that
to
invite?
just listen to Every Day is Funny for like 3 hours in order to diffuse her frustration.
Honestly, if that's the best thing that ever comes of this, easing a cartoon mom's woes, that's a pretty successful endeavor to me.
That would be amazing.
All right,
Happy 50th.
Thanks. Let's check out Gearhead Gertie, who, I don't know if you followed this on the pod, but
the NASCAR woman.
Yeah, just an old woman who loves NASCAR.
See, I know exactly everything you're talking about, but like that's not how I was picturing her. Like I never saw that cartoon. I was imagining a different image every time you spoke about it. So this is crushing my my visions, but also evoking beautiful realities.
Well, it's like when you see a book getting turned into a movie, and you always had an image in thought of what that person would look like, and then it's whoever. But all right, we have her watching NASCAR, of course. The announcer says NASCAR has considered installing a catch fence. Gearhead Gertie says between Kyle Busch and Ricky Stenhouse.
Okay. You're gonna have to help me out, really, with this one.
Well, I'm laughing because I didn't expect such an inside NASCAR joke, and I know neither of us will have thoughts because I assume there's a rivalry between Kyle and Ricky.
They're two drivers who always just smash into each other.
Did you think there was a chance that those were fake names and this joke made no sense?
I think because of the last name Bush, and maybe it's because I'm associating it with your reading of Jeb Bush's Miami University speech, I thought they were maybe political figures who hated each other or something, and so I thought I wasn't getting a political reference, but that makes sense. Okay, they're NASCAR guys.
You know what the weirdest thing I think about this comic is? Look at these weird loose papers below her TV.
She's just been writing notes on the NASCAR races.
Like, why is she leaving
really
them there?
good?
And one's spilling off the TV stand a little.
It's just like Kyle put Ricky through the slammer this time, and that's one of the many notes that she.
All right, well, listen, let's move on to the coup de grace.
She made that comic. That's what those papers are. It's her scribblings of the comic she's in.
Oh, a meta plug? All right.
I believe so. Happy 50th.
Thanks. So we got Rex Morgan, MD. We ended off with, and
which
we are
is
still.
I mean.
Yeah.
You do this
it's
every
amazing.
app, right? There hasn't been one without Rex, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
I
don't know
particularly.
I don't know if
I
I
love
started
the one.
with it, but yeah.
Oh, it's not in the first or second app?
I don't know. I'd have to. I can't
Maybe
actually
not.
remember. I'd have to go back and listen.
Maybe not. But like ep 6 or 7, you faked out the listener saying I'm gonna switch it up, and then said no, I need my Rex. That was
I do,
particularly enjoyable.
I've truly become I've become fascinated with this strip. I've become very kind of attached to it.
Yeah.
I do genuinely love it, but we're still dealing with the bully situation. The bully is messing with Parker, and we get the bully saying, "I'll catch you later, Parker. Your friends can't always be with you." He says, "Bug off, jerk." Then the bully leaves. Parker says, "Thanks for standing up for me, guys. I don't know why that kid can't just leave me alone." Then another random friend says he probably has a lot of emotional issues and he's inappropriately directing his misplaced anger at you.
So
Now,
have you
yeah.
seen that other friend yet? Has
I
that
think
friend
this-
been visually in the strips?
I think the friend has always kind of been in the background, but has never had a time to shine and say anything. What I find most interesting about the friend is the way he's holding his fork as he's giving his point, and at the same time he's holding the fork straight up, he's putting up his pointer finger as if like his pointer finger is his knife. Do you know
I
what I
believe
mean?
that's a meta plug. Yeah.
For what?
I think that's sign language for meta plug.
Oh, okay. Doesn't it look like he uses his pointer finger as his knife though?
It does. It's like I'm too embarrassed to reveal that I don't have a knife as well to cut my meatloaf, so I'll just. They're still in the lunchroom, right? It makes sense he has a fork.
Yeah. What,
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think of what he says here? Because he's getting surprisingly deep and emotionally intelligent about this.
This is like one of those things where like students in high school or middle school, they try to be like more mature. It's like the precarious children thing. It's this moment of straight up pretension from this a-hole. That's what I'm gonna say.
Oh, you don't like it?
About what he has to say. I love it, to be honest. I'm all for it.
Cool.
Just go with your truest pretentious self that is also emotionally therapeutic to your friends.
Man, I mean, how long do you think that you've been following? How long do you think this bully situation could go on?
It could go on until ep 100 at least.
Wow.
I mean, Parker's not it. You know, you made fun of it. You said Parker's coming out with this loser stuff.
Yeah,
he was one of the bites. He's gonna keep getting bullied until he graduates, and then even like if he's planning on going to college, he has a long road ahead of him, and it's gonna be years of the strip.
You think Parker will stay the same loser all the way through college? Meanwhile, Knife and Fork Boy is gonna go unscathed?
I think that guy, Knife and Fork Boy, is gonna be. I believe he's urinating his pants out of frame currently.
Whoa. He's nervous about the bully, or?
Yeah, he was nervous about having to articulate his emotional therapy advice.
Should we make our comment today have something to do with the knife and fork fingers?
I think so. And what about this long-haired fan on the right? I don't know why I said long-haired fan. Because he looks like
He's
a fan of
their
AC/DC.
conversation.
Shook me all night.
No, this is-
I'm a
so
fan of you guys.
This is Corey. This is the kind of main subject who's going to be doing stand-up at a comedy club soon.
Oh, okay. Yes. See, I've been picturing these characters completely differently. It's really weird to see these guys.
So should we just comment like after and what did he say here? He's directing his anger at you. Why don't I just say like from the point of view of the friend, I think he's just directing his anger at you. Now I'm going to go back to... Now, if you'll excuse me...
Fast typing.
Thanks. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to keep using my finger as a knife. That's pretty good, right?
Hashtag metaplug.
Hashtag metaplug. The community won't get that.
Hashtag.
I don't really do hashtags here.
Happy 50th. Okay, delete the hashtags.
I think he's just directing his anger at you. No, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to keep using my finger as a knife. I think that's pretty good.
And all of the folks in the community can just imagine the next strip having a ketchup-filled finger. That's going to be so funny for them to imagine.
I'm just trying to help the people out.
Imagining that.
Oh. Keep doing
metaplug.
All right. Wow.
Okay.
Beautiful. So how do you feel now after visually seeing some of these things that you've only heard talked about?
I feel like when nothing is true, anything is possible, which I'm kind of stealing from a slogan from t-shirt merch that I bought a year ago. So okay. I just quoted a band named Skinny Puppy, I think.
Oh. All right. Well, I think it's time to wind down. For the 50th ever episode of Every Day is Funny, I do want to remind people to check out the Gruesome Features concert at 7 p.m. on June 22nd, this Saturday.
It's going to be a live stream. Adam's going to be there.
Yep. I'll be hosting.
Artists are going to be
I'll see you there.
Performing
Yep.
original music. Adam is going to be bringing funniness every day, and particularly this concert day. It may be more or less funny than what he brings to the table here every day.
That's a good tease. And thank you for listening for 50 episodes. Here's to 50 more. And Nick, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And just remember, I mean, every day is funny.